Good afternoon, thank you for joining me. I am Precious Mzea. Sakaleji, welcome to Camnet TV Midday News. The headlines. British envoy to Zambia predicts a non-free and fair 2021 Zambian election. Police stop HH and the UPND from holding door-to-door campaigns in MUNALI and MATERO. Join me with the Midday News in detail after this commercial.
Massive infrastructure development agenda, President Edgar Lungu and his government have facilitated the upgrading of Harry Mwanga Nkumbula International Airport to modern standards, raising its capacity to handle up to 1 million passengers per year from 250,000. Vote for Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the PF that have brought you change.
And now the media news in detail. Opposition United Party for National Development UPND President Hakainde Hichilema has charged that the Electoral Commission of Zambia must retain its glory and ensure that the electoral process is fair. Addressing the media after a closed-door meeting with the electoral body Wednesday morning, Mr. Hichilema says the commission has no backing with regards to banning of political rallies among other rights in an election. He notes that the Patriotic Front government is using the COVID-19 as a weapon to stifle the voice of the opposition. The UPND leader says that the cancellation of yesterday's UPND Alliance roadshow by the police is a clear demonstration of abuse of authority, calling on the police to be professional. Mr. Hichilema has since stressed that the alliance partners will not accept any unjust directive from the authority, but will go flat out and campaign freely in line with the health guidelines put in place. The opposition leader was in the company of alliance partners, among them Movement for Democratic Change, Felix Mtati, Charles Milupi, and his running mate Mtalian Almango.
The banning of political rallies due to the COVID-19 pandemic has brought what one would call confusion with regards to how political players can send the messages across to the electorates. This situation has left the usage of media programs, billboards and roadshows as a main means of sending the messages across. However, the roadshows are also proving to be a challenge due to authority interference, especially towards the opposition. Wednesday, a scheduled UPND rally for MUNALI and MATERO constituencies was cancelled by the police, a situation that prompted the UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema and his alliance partners to meet the Electoral Commission of Zambia in a bid to see how best the political environment can be handled. The UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema says the meeting with ECZ was cordial, but that the electoral body needed to reclaim its authority.
The playing field must be maintained, meaning that there must be equity, fairness in the way campaigns are conducted, and number three, by all parties. Number three, to make sure that the coronavirus pandemic is not weaponized. At the moment, as President Mwanza has said, the coronavirus is a weapon being used by the PF against this UPND alliance. It's evident. And what we mean by that? We mean, first and foremost, it was illegal to cancel the rallies. Completely illegal. It takes away from citizens their fundamental rights.
And Mr. Hichilema says the alliance will not accept any illegal directives.
This struggle so that we can end violence in our community. This struggle, this campaign, so that we can send our children to school and offer business opportunities to our people. And indeed, so we can have medicines in hospitals. That's what this agenda is all about. I want to assure all of you and guide all of you that from today, we will not respect illegal instructions. You must go out and campaign. I'm looking at you, Zambia, through this camera. Go out and campaign, because yes, we protect lives. We are well aware of that. But what was happening in Kanyama yesterday by PF What was that? A huge procession. You mean COVID knows that this is UPND Alliance members, this is PF?
No.
Does it distinguish?
No,
it doesn't. So the police must do that which is right, and that is to respect the constitutional provisions of our country. If not, they are the ones breaking the law.
Meanwhile, when contacted for a comment as to why the roadshow was cancelled, police spokesperson told Camnet TV in a telephone interview that the UPND Alliance needed to write to respective localities in which the activities were taking place.
We want to have 5 activities in Lusaka, in Kanyama, Chawama, MATERO, where else, Chilenje, Kawata. You have to drop notifications to all these officers in charge so that they consolidate with other activities which others also have applied to undertake, so that there is no clash.
Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka.
In other news, New Congress Party NCP President Pastor Peter Mlenga Chanda has appealed to the opposition United Party for National Development leader Hakainde Hichilema to tame his cadres who are brutalizing innocent people in the perceived UPND strongholds. Pastor Chanda has expressed disappointment in the manner in which the UPND leader has remained quiet while his supporters are brutalizing innocent people. Pastor Chanda says Zambia has been a haven of peace, freedom and home to a lot of refugees as it participated in the liberation struggle of its neighbors. He has advised politicians to realize that the country attained political emancipation and that politics must be perceived as a game of policies and not a game of fists. Peter Chanda has since advised youths to stay away from politics of violence and only await for the August 12th where they should exercise their constitutional right and vote for the candidate of their choice.
So my call to all the youths in the country: engage in productive activities and don't participate in useless possessions that are bent at nothing but disobeying the orders of the police. We need to understand that, number one, the UPND should stop daring the Zambia police. We all know that when you are elected in office, you are given the authority to come up with rules and laws to ensure that you provide the laws that people should follow. This is the practice for each and every king, each and every person that has become president. So the statutory instrument that restrains us from conducting our public rallies should be obeyed by all well-meaning Zambians. It's not a public rally you could have started preparing. For those that are thinking they can only win if they hold public rallies, then let them wait for 2026 and do what I did. Despite paying my nomination fee, I withdrew. So if UPND is not ready, if any other political party that is insisting on holding rallies, they are not ready, let them withdraw. 2026 is coming. It's not far away, it's just 5 years in between.
And Opposition Patriots for Economic Progress (PEP) has also expressed shock at government's continued harassments of Dr. Brian Sampa despite firing from the civil service. PEP President Sean Temple says the victimization of a single powerless medical doctor cannot go unchallenged. The opposition leader says the Resident Doctors Association is a bona fide institution that has represented the interest of junior doctors in Zambia since the immemorial. Mr. Temple adds that other administrations in the past have respected the association and engaged in bargaining negotiations with them and reached mutual settlements. The PEP president says Dr. Brian Sampa is merely a messenger on behalf of the junior medical doctors and that doctors are not asking for anything out of the ordinary, but only their remuneration arrears be paid.
We are very, very shocked and disappointed with the manner in which President Lungu and his government are treating Dr. Brian Sampa, who is the president of the Resident Doctors Association of Zambia. First of all, we heard that Dr. Sampa had been summarily dismissed from the civil service for no apparent reason whatsoever. And then, in addition to that, we also heard that his practicing license to practice as a medical doctor had been revoked by government. And then we further hear that he has been summoned to the police, apparently for having Zoom meetings. And when we look at the drastic action that government has taken against Dr. Sampa, we fail to understand the basis of such vengeance on the part of President Lungu and his government, because Dr. Sampa was merely a messenger representing the grievances that the doctors had. And when you look at these grievances, they were basically asking to be paid their salary arrears. And there's nothing wrong with someone asking to be paid what is owed to them.
British Ambassador to Zambia Nicholas Woolley has predicted that Zambia risks having a non-free and fair election if a level playing field is not created. Mr. Woolley tells Camnet News that they did an independent assessment on the Copper Belt and observed that there has been selective application of the law by police on political gatherings. He says the Copper Belt incident, where the United Party for National Development leader Hakainde Hichilema was being prevented by the police from holding political gatherings, is an impediment of fairness in an election. The British envoy has advised the police against selectively applying the law in this year's election.
Democracy is a system where people elect their rulers in a peaceful manner, and the government is given the right to rule because the people say it may. And one of the 12 principles of good governance is participation, representation, and fair conduct of elections. Zambia, as a democratic state, is expected to uphold that. Meanwhile, despite the court's ruling that the Public Order Act cannot be advanced to prevent public gatherings, but just like in any other election, it is still being utilized. But concerns have been that it works against the opposition. And sadly, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, rallies have been banned. However, the British government is concerned over what it termed as selective application of the law.
Midday. While I was there, we heard how opposition party rallies had been prevented from going ahead, and indeed shortly after I returned there was then the decision by the ECZ to ban campaign rallies on the count of the COVID-19 situation. At the same time, while I was there was also a government event where officials and others were calling for people to turn out to be a part of this government event. So a real question for me comes back to the issue of fairness.
The British envoy has called for an even playing field by providing equal media coverage, especially by the public media.
Comes back to the issue of fairness. And if we are going to see a fair election, we need a level playing field. And a level playing field, part of that means that all political parties, whether they're in government or ruling party or opposition parties, have equal access to be able to campaign, to address their supporters, to have access to state media. And an incident like that, where a opposition rally is prevented from going ahead, but other citizens are encouraged to come out to a government event that does go ahead, I think is not a demonstration of even-handedness, and that is not going to lead to a fair election in August.
He has since called on the government to take a lead in creating a favorable atmosphere for holding free and fair elections.
I underline again today that all parties need equal access to be able to campaign, and restrictions that apply to one party that might prevent them from travelling to a certain part with a number of vehicles in large convoys, if those are deemed to be campaigns and therefore banned, then it's really important that that applies to everyone, whether that's in government or whatever political party they are from. So I again appeal to all the authorities to ensure that an even-handed approach is applied.
As it gets tense by the day ahead of the polls, it is the expectation of many Zambians that peace will prevail before, during and after the elections. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Well, that news item brings us to the end of Camnet TV Midday News, but before we go off the headlines once again. British envoy to Zambia predicts a non-free and fair 2021 Zambian election. Police stop HH and the UPND from holding door-to-door campaigns in MUNALI and MATERO. Thank you for joining me. I am Precious Mzeya Sakaleji. Remember to always wear your mask. Thank you for joining me. Good afternoon.